Hi, hey, in this video, I'm going to talk about non-slip shoes with a little bit of a focus on non-slip shoes for people who have foot pain, such as arch pain, heel pain, and ball of foot pain. And then I'm going to look at a specific shoe, which I recommend quite a bit for people who need non-slip shoes. And my disclosure here is I was contacted by Shoes for Crews. It's a company that sells non-slip shoes and primarily. And they provided me with a New Balance Kaiha Road, which has been modified specifically to be non-slip. I think they must have a relationship with New Balance. So they take this Kaiha Road, which is a shoe I actually recommend quite a bit for my patients, and added a non-slip sole to it. So the plan here, this is just going to take about 3 or 4 minutes, and we're going to briefly look at some generalities about non-slip shoes, everything I think you should know. And then I'm going to do a review of a non-slip shoe, particularly for people with ball of foot pain, plantar fasciitis or heel pain, and bunions or big toe joint pain. So first of all, non-slip shoes are also called anti-slip and slip resistant. And in general, they're meant to stop you from falling and stop you from slipping. And particularly these are designed for work situations, but they can be used elsewhere. And in general, what we want to do is get a shoe that makes your foot grip better, even if the surface is wet, slippery, or greasy. Who needs them? They're commonly used by restaurant workers, industrial workers on factory floors, healthcare workers, and then almost anywhere there's a wet or slippery floor. And I think an underused area of non-slip shoes is in people with poor balance, particularly some elderly people. Now, this is really a critical issue in that falls can be absolutely devastating. I think hip fractures, anybody over the age of 65 have a 40% mortality rate over about a year period after the fall. So think about that. Almost half of people who fall and fracture a hip, if they're above the age of 65, will be dead within a year. So these fractures can really be devastating. Other common fractures include wrist fractures. You can get head injuries or skull fractures, back injuries. There can be devastating economic issues in that if you're out of work because of a fall, obviously that can cause a huge problem. And then we do know that anytime that if something happens that decreases your ability to exercise, it's unequivocal that that can decrease your health span and your lifespan. So preventing falls is really something that should be paid more attention to and is critically important. Excuse me. So first of all, a couple things make a shoe non-slip. First is just the surface that is the outer sole is made of, the material. Usually these are rubbers or synthetic rubbers that have a higher than average coefficient of friction. So the material itself will stop you from slipping. And I think even more important is the tread pattern. You'll basically smaller is better. So this tread pattern here you can see has a lot of little knobs and these lines going through it. What that does is it gives a place for water to go. So the water isn't underneath the shoe, and that will decrease slipperiness, basically creating more friction also. Other features, you can often find non-slip shoes that have a waterproof or water-resistant upper. If you're carrying a lot of really hot liquids, that's probably something that is a good idea. They may have a cushioned insole, at least it'll be advertised as such. But honestly, if you look at almost all these shoes, they have this very thin sock liner. It really provides no arch support whatsoever. And most people are going to be better off by putting an arch support in there, whether that be a prefabricated orthotic, or if you happen to have a custom orthotic, you can put that in there. You want a list of good prefabs, go to our website and just do a search for prefabricated orthotics. They also will often have these thick, I gotta get this covered here, these thick padded collars around here, and then often a good, nice roomy toe box. So those are just some of the features you might also find along with that non-slip tread. Now, there's no one best shoe for anybody for any type. Large-scale studies on shoes have shown that the one feature that decreases injury rates the most is that the shoe is perceived as comfortable by the wearer. So one shoe may be comfortable for you, but not for someone else. Now, given that, obviously, for these situations, that non-slip surface is incredibly important. You want the shoe to be stable, and you want it to have features that help your specific issues. And we'll go over that in just a second here. Now, this is the shoe we're talking about today. This is I think it's pronounced the Kaiha. So some of the things I really like about them, the reason I've recommended the running walking version of this for quite a while is it has a firm heel, so that helps stabilize the foot. You can see I can't squeeze in with two fingers. It has torsional stability. I can't twist it very easily, the front on the back. It's also one thing that's really nice about New Balance in particular is they have a huge number of widths available. So you can, with New Balance, it's often easier for people to find a well-fitting shoe, particularly if you have a foot that's hard to fit. It has also this rigid forefoot rocker on it. And I'm going to go over in a few minutes or in just a minute actually, what pathologies that's really beneficial for. And then again, Shoes and Crews and New Balance got together and added this anti-slip, non-slip outer sole to the shoe. And I believe that's only available from Shoes for Crews. So some of the pathologies that benefit from a rigid forefoot. Number one is ball of foot pain. Some common causes of ball of foot pain are inflammation of these joints here and also in an inflamed nerve called the neuroma. But when you're walking forward, normally you walk forward like this, you bend at those metatarsal phalangeal joints. That does put a lot of load on the metatarsal heads. And by having a shoe that is rigid on the forefoot, doesn't bend, that will rock you through the step and take a tremendous amount of load off of the ball of the foot, particularly if you combine that with an arch support or an orthotic. The next thing is anybody with heel pain or plantar fasciitis. Again, when that toe bends, particularly the big toe, it causes a tightening on the plantar fascia, which runs from the toe to the heel. So using that rocker-soled shoe will decrease the tension on the plantar fascia and can help a lot with heel pain. And finally, people who have big toe joint problems. If you have a bunion deformity or you have arthritis in the big toe joint, then any motion of that joint can cause pain. And by using the shoe again with that rigid forefoot, that will limit motion in that joint and help eliminate pain. So it's a good shoe for almost anybody who's going to be on slippery surfaces, but in particular for those people that have those issues. So kind of summarize this, the pros of the shoe, it's a stable shoe, it's comfortable for a lot of people, and it's lightweight. One thing I love about it are the multiple widths that are available. So even people with hard to fit feet can usually find a size that works for them. It also easily accepts an orthotic. I won't put it in right now, but I've got a pretty flat foot and a wide orthotic. This is my custom orthotic here, and it fits fine into this shoe. The disadvantages, this is not a waterproof shoe. So if you need one that's waterproof, you might look at different models. Although it's a non-slip shoe, this is not a shoe for ice. It's a different, more lug type of tread that you want to use for ice. And just be aware, no shoe works for everybody. I can recommend this as a great shoe, but it has to be comfortable for your foot. And then again, a tip for everybody, take the sock liner out. That's again, this non-supportive insole that almost all good shoes have, and replace it with an arch support, particularly if you're going to be on your feet quite a bit, then most people will be more comfortable. If nothing else, that arch support is going to spread the force over a larger area. So you're not putting so much load on the ball of your foot. It'll take pressure off your heel and take some tension off the structures within your arch. And again, if you go to our website and just do a search for prefabricated orthotics or over-the-counter orthotics, you'll find a list of our current favorite devices for different types of feet. So that is it. If you have any questions, please put them into the comments. And if I've said the name of the shoe wrong, I think it's Kaiha, but if I've said it wrong and you know how it's pronounced, go ahead and let me know that in the comments also. Thanks for watching.